Welcome to Tech News of the Week with your host, a slightly judgmental bowl of cream cheese.
Welcome to Tech News of the Week. This is our weekly tech news short form podcast where Chris and I look at 4 interesting stories that caught our eye in the last week. Chris, why don't you get us started?
Microsoft adding spell check features to Notepad for reasons? So yeah, Notepad. It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
The barest of the bare bones text editors that has existed in the Microsoft operating system as a freebie since 1983, which was a long time ago. Don't look it up.
No, please don't. Don't do math.
As a product, it was a proof of concept that they just gave away. It was a stupidly simple thing that did one thing well, and guess what? Sometimes stupidly simple is good.
Indeed.
It was always used and valuable, especially for, saying, editing configuration files, where non-word words are common. But I guess since nobody knows how to do that anymore, we needed Notepad to move on. In the next coming general release of Windows 11, therefore, Notepad will have a spell check and an autocorrect, or as I like to call it, that annoying thing that doesn't know how to spell VMware right no matter how many times you try to fix it. Now, luckily, both spell check and autocorrect are prominent options in Notepad's setting menu, so they can easily be turned off. But why? Just why? If you need spell check, you're not using Notepad, because that would be silly. Also, there are others stating that this version of Notepad, like many other versions of the newer built-in applications in Windows, were not working at all for a period of time unless you were signed into the App Store. While they have since fixed that, again, it's Notepad.
Just don't change it, man. And also, VMware is hilarious because the first 2 letters are capitalized, and nothing is ever happy about that.
Never.
Grammar check thinks that you capitalized the first 2 letters by accident, and so it wants to revert one of them. And then spell check says you're spelling VMware wrong and wants to fix it back. Good times. The war on floppy disks concludes for Japan. Despite the fact that floppy disks have been completely obsolete for at least 20 years, governments and industries around the world continue to rely on these plastic packets for critical infrastructure and systems. Japan, a country known for both its deep traditionalism and embrace of technology, was among those governments that still had departments heavily reliant on outdated tech like floppy disks, fax machines, and Hanko seals. If you don't know what the Hanko is, there's a really good 99pi episode that I would point you to in the show notes. Japan's digital minister, Taro Kono, is tired of all this outdated nonsense and declared war on the floppy diskette starting 2 years ago. As of June 28th of this year, all regulations in Japan that require the use of floppy disks have been removed, meaning all agencies can and should use something else. Japan and its governmental bureaucrats are hardly the only ones still leveraging the 3.5-inch platters for storage of 1.44 megabytes at a time. Ars Technica has reported on floppies being used by airlines, CNC machines, and even the terrifying animatronics at Chuck E. Cheese. While most people think of the august floppy disk as the icon, meaning save, in your app of choice, you can still buy the real thing on Amazon for about $2 a disc. Maybe we'll see some weird media resurgence from ironic hipsters who claim they can hear the difference between a floppy and a thumb drive. The click, whir, and hum of the disk drive just adds an ambiance you don't get with solid-state media, Chris.
I mean, also, you can frisbee a floppy disk across the room to slam into the wall and terrify the coworker that you know is secretly asleep. You can't do that with a OneDrive.
You cannot.
OpenAI to add accountability by removing Microsoft and Apple from the board. It's been strange times in the world of AI. Not so many moons ago, OpenAI went through a transformation of sorts and tried to oust Sam Altman, only to unoust him like 3 days later, then be effectively purchased by Microsoft, let's call it what it is, then have some of Altman's primary critics leave OpenAI. Then Altman publicly admits that OpenAI doesn't fully understand the products that they put out. Well, let's say this has all raised some eyebrows. There are massive business deals with Apple and obviously Microsoft that OpenAI has opened, so it makes tons of sense that each company would want a seat at the table. Microsoft actually had one announced, only for it to be unannounced barely a week later. I am noticing a trend. To quote a great philosopher, what the hell is going on out there? The answers are not forthcoming, but most people think this is an attempt to forestall any kind of government investigation of the Microsoft OpenAI relationship and or AI regulations finally making it to the US. Sometimes you can have too much attention. Apple not getting the seat is basically being interpreted by many as a placating gesture where so if Microsoft can't come to Sam's birthday party, then Apple can't come either.
That's right. Starving the AI beast with Cloudflare. We've covered several times just how much of the internet was built on trust and asking people not to be assholes. And yet, AI advocates don't seem to care much about any of that shit. If there's one thing model trainers like OpenAI and Anthropic desperately need, it's more data. One of the easiest ways to get more data is to scrape websites indiscriminately. But what if you're a website owner and you don't want the AI bots to stroll along and steal all your stuff for training and later regurgitate it? The current solution is to include a robots.txt file in the website root directory, instructing bots which paths should be omitted as the crawler parses your site. I say should because although most reputable search engines will respect what you put in that robots.txt file, they are not compelled to. You'll be shocked to learn that information-starved AI outfits are trying to fool or outright ignore rules preventing web scraping. To counteract the AI malefactors, Cloudflare has introduced a single-click option to block AI crawlers using Cloudflare's own machine learning and observations to block bot operators that are attempting to pose as normal browsing activity. If you host your website through Cloudflare in any way, you can simply enable the service and know that your content is safe from the AI bots. The irony that Cloudflare is using AI to fight AI is not lost on your erstwhile hosts, and we suspect it won't be the last time AI solutions come to loggerheads while we stand back and shake our heads in quiet bewilderment. God, I love the future. All right, that's it. We're done. Go away now. Bye.